Okay, I won't lie. I'm kind of like embarrassed to say that I binged this show in like a day, but like maybe I'm more embarrassed to say that like I think it's pretty good. But let's talk about The Summer I Turned Pretty. Like the premise is pretty dumb. Like a girl takes off her glasses and she loses her braces, and like over the summer she like suddenly becomes hot or whatever. And like the trailers, they were stupid. Like it was like love triangle with brothers, like two like Gen Z guys that like everyone's gonna like lose their minds over. There's like a bunch of kissing. There's a bunch of like just the angsty drama, like coming of age, whatever. Um, and it like feels like all those other Netflix shows, like To All the Boys, Kissing Booth, and that like what was that like TikTok Cobra Kai crossover thing. And like I've seen a lot of these. Like the first To All the Boys movie, I think it was pretty good, but like everything else was just not like kind of garbage. But like the summer I turned pretty is I think it's pretty good because it like completely flips the script. So full spoilers from now on. I haven't read the books or anything, but like the whole like summer I turned pretty thing of like, oh, like she was not hot but now she is, like that's not even like a big part of the show. Like we get like a couple of double takes in the first episode, but after that like Belly's physical appearance doesn't really matter like at all. And like honestly, I actually think like Belly is the weakest part of the show, like which is kind of unfortunate because I think Lola Tung is like pretty good. Her character's like fine. It's like just not very interesting. I think she's poorly defined and like kind of frustrating to watch, honestly. And like the love triangle, like it doesn't even start until like episode 5 of like 7 episodes, and like the climax isn't even about the romance. So, um, like that's kind of nice. But I think there's a few problems in kind of characterizing Belly and like how they try to go about that. Like there's a few lines in the show that mention like, oh, Belly doesn't know the impact that she has, and she's just like, like this person with an aura that people just love and are drawn to. But like that's like not true. Like the show portrays her as this like amazing catch, this great girl, but like she's like selfish, she's impulsive, ignorant, insensitive, immature. And like yes, I know she's a teenager, like that she's only a teenager, like that's the point of coming of age characters, but like that's only half of the equation in like these kind of movies. Like good coming of age stories are about characters who have this like nasty, selfish, immature side, but it also clashes with like their goodness, this earnestness, this like morality that they have instilled in them. And like that's together, like it's further complicated by an increasingly complicated world that they grow into, right? But like Belly never really shows that side. Like she's quirky, she's witty, and like she like doesn't want to drink until like episode 3 or whatever. But like that's about it. Like she doesn't even have like a good goal. Like all she wants to have is like a guy, and like she takes like the most annoying ways to get there, which is like, yeah, I don't know. Like most other rom-coms are like basically about getting the guy or the girl, but typically there's like some sort of like desire, behind that, like a desire to belong, to be wanted, to like be like to fit in like with the group. But like Belly, she doesn't have those problems. Like she's like got friends, she's like cool, and like she's like cool in that, but she just wants a dude, which makes it like a lot less interesting and a lot less like urgent, I think, for us to watch. Um, and anyways, like I think there's a better rom com version of this where like Conrad and Jeremiah are like more clearly represent two different ideals or sides or things that like Belly is like attracted to each of them like in their own right. Like two different sides can also like represent the person that Belly wants to like grow into or wants to become, and like tie into that coming of age stuff. Like oh, like for example, maybe like does she want to be spontaneous and take risks, or does she want to like feel safe and practical and secure, and like I don't know, just anything like that where it kind of like kind of juxtaposes the two guys and also like shows like the two things that are pulling at her. And they don't have to be like both be good or both be bad, but I don't like the show doesn't really care to develop any of that, which like I think it's fine. Like it's still good because like it doesn't really lean on Belly. Like I feel like that's like the surface level entry level thing. It leans on like everything else. Like there's this weird like tight knit family thing. And it's like some of the best parts of the show are when they're just kind of hanging out and interacting and bouncing off of each other, and like we see these two families together who have spent every summer together, and we've seen these four kids grow up together, and like the moms too, and also like we get to like enter into this drama that is like filled with years of history and context, and I think they play it mostly pretty well, and like you feel like they're this family who has known each other for a long time. And so basically in the background behind of like all of Belly's dumb coming of age things, like we have Susanna Fisher. She's this woman who has terminal cancer, and she's decided like not to fight it. She like doesn't tell her kids, and all she wants to do is like gather her family, her found family, like for like just like one last perfect summer, right? And then we have her oldest son Conrad. He's like this depressed guy who's like quit football, who's like kind of just down and annoying and mean and kind of grumpy because like he knows his mom is dying and he's trying to like suppress it and like figure out what to do with that, and which is like tough. And then we also have Jeremiah, like her next son, who is just like he's this charming guy and he's like this little kid and he like genuinely really loves his parents. And I think like everyone is like really well cast, and like honestly, like when I was looking at the trailers and looking at some of the guys, I was like, oh, okay, like they just like chose these generic white guys to be like the heartthrobs for Belly and like whatever. But like they are both like really really good at like what they do, and I feel like they're both like characterized in unique and different enough ways, but like in ways where like it makes sense that they're brothers. I think. And anyways, like throughout the season, there's like a lot of interesting things that come out of this stuff. Like in episode one, Belly comes over this summer and she realizes like that Conrad, Jeremiah, and Steven, like her brother, they're all different. They're like older, they're partying, they drink, they care about hooking up, and like she feels like knocked off centered because like Conrad is smoking weed now, and like Conrad is like he's reeling from his mom's situation, but like Belly is learning the hard and shocking way how like people change, right? Like she's confused, she feels left in the dark. She's like, I don't know these people anymore. Like I've grown up with them and I don't know them. And like there's this break of innocence that's like compelling, and I think it speaks to like the nature of how friends grow and change at different rates and in like different directions, right? And what that impact is on like friend groups, and in this case like a family who like relies on each other, right? So like that's interesting. And there's this like whole bunch of like family politics in episode 4. Like Susanna hosts a big 4th of July party, and like half the people who come like know her cancer situation and half of them like don't, and everyone's trying to figure out a way how to like help her and love her without like ruining her perfect like special summer. And that's like really interesting. And also like there's this friendship between Belly's mom Laurel and Susanna, and it's like sprinkled in here and there, and like you don't like really think much of it. And typically like I hate this because like usually the parent storyline is like boring because like it's not where the drama is, and just like them being like, oh, like look at our kids or whatever. Or sometimes it's just like, you know, like one of the parents is single and like they get a new love interest, and like the main character has to be like, oh, like I have to accept and move on, and even though like they're not my true dad or whatever, they're gonna be like my like real dad. And it ends with them saying like, oh, I'll call you dad instead of George, and because like that's like character growth or whatever. But like it's tired and it's boring, it's been done a lot. But like Laurel and Susanna have like this real friendship. It's real, and it's simple, and we get to see them watch movies together, talk about their kids together, like talk about the old days. We see them support each other, and like we see them like do edibles and get drunk together, and like I don't condone all of that or everything like that. But like they make us buy into this relationship that they're like these longtime friends, you know. And like the climax, I think the climax is where like I was like, this is wow, like I was surprised. It's like this is good. The climax is set up to like make us think that we're gonna have some big like love triangle showdown where like the brothers are pitted against one another and like Belly needs to choose like one of them, but like it's not at all. Like in episode 7, like Jeremiah and Belly are gonna go to this like debutante ball dance thing together, and they're supposed to do like a big performance together, but like Jeremiah leaves and like they can't find him, and so Conrad steps in, and like we get this romantic dance between Belly and Conrad, and it's like, oh my gosh, so cute, whatever. And but like meanwhile Jeremiah's like outside of the party, and he like finds out that his mom has terminal cancer, and he goes like he's crying and he's like, what the heck. And like he goes to Conrad trying to like tell his big brother like the news, and like then like Conrad kind of like tells him like he already knows. And like there's just like a really good moment where like Jeremiah feels betrayed and he feels like left in the dark, and he feels exactly like Belly did in episode 1. And like Jeremiah and Conrad like end up like punching each other. They get into a fight like in the middle of the ball. They're like on the floor like fighting, and instead of like some angsty fight over like a girl, they're like fighting because of like how much they like love their mom and like this family like that they want to like protect and like maintain. And like Conrad believes that like if he can pretend his mom doesn't have cancer, if he can like pretend he doesn't know, like maybe that'll keep his mom's like spirits up and like keep her alive, and maybe this is like a weight he needs to carry for his like his friends, for his brother. And Jeremiah, he's like just this kid who like loves his parents so much, and like in such a like endearing like childlike way that feels like really real, and like kudos to the actor for that. And he feels like he's just had like rugs pulled out of like from under him like twice, right? Like once for the cancer reveal, and like another time because like his big brother has kept it from him. And like I think that's like pretty good stuff for like a regular coming of age triangle thing. Like that's the heart of the show, and like that's compelling, you know. And I think I'm surprised because like usually I feel like in these kind of movies like maybe there would be like a death in the family, and then like the next thing that happens like they like go to like, oh, like I'm gonna now like kiss you, or like, you know, to make myself feel better or whatever. But like no, like that's like kind of how the show mostly ends, except for like the last scene where like Belly kisses Conrad and like they start a relationship, which I think is stupid and dumb, whatever. Like it doesn't matter. But like after that, like that death is like not death, but like the idea of like them knowing that their mom is gonna die, like that's left out to breathe. And like we just see like this moment of like these families like crying together, like mom and daughter and son, and like they're just crying together, and they are like trying to figure out how to deal with this shocking news, right? And so like I don't know, that was like good, and that was felt like dramatic, and that felt like real and like earned, because like we love this like dynamic between these two families. We get to see like that fun in there, and like it's genius kind of how it all worked out. Like the marketing, all like I've seen a lot of marketing for it, and like I've also looked up a couple of videos because like my sister Isabella has like read the books and she's like, oh, I've wanted to watch this or whatever. And like the marketing made it feel like your run of the mill like regular teen angst rom com. But like they really made it about like this drama between a mother and two sons, and like I think I would have liked it a heck of a lot more if there was like no romance, and like there's still a bunch of problems I have with it. Like they don't commit to either like the love triangle thing or like the family drama thing. Like I think that holds it back, but like it's more than I expected. Like they flipped the script on that and like they surprised me. And so like honestly, the summer I turned pretty, it's pretty good.